throughout the whole semester, what we're learning to do is prepare business income tax returns. In Chapter 4, we'll see a comparison of different types of business entities. And in our current Chapter 1, we're learning about the simplest type called a sole or single proprietorship, that the income is reported eventually on a Form 1040. What you're looking at is the new 2018 1040 form. That's just a half sheet, not small as a postcard, but a half sheet both sides. So on the front side, you have the name of the taxpayer and social security number and address and dependent information and signing off authorization for the return. But on the back side, we have income here, all the different types of income. And it's quite a short list. We're looking for business income that's not listed here, but first has to be reported on a new schedule number 1. So let's take a look at that. A schedule 1 is a new schedule for 2018 that lists other income and deductions below it, which we'll see in a minute. But the one of the income we're looking for is business income, that the net income or loss is reported here, but first calculated on a Schedule C. So let's take a look at a Schedule C for 2018. Schedule C 2018 hasn't changed that much from the 2017 form, where you have the name of the owner or the business, keeping in mind that a sole or single proprietorship has only one owner, and this is not a corporation. Now, it is possible that a limited liability company that has only one member, one owner, that does not elect to be a corporation would now report its income and deductions here on this Schedule C. Here's something we've discussed in Chapter 1, the method of accounting, including maybe that hybrid method we had mentioned in addition to cash or accrual method. Probably if you're a sole proprietorship, you're using the accounting period of a calendar year from January through December. So here in part 1 is all the different types of business income, and the main one would be any service fees or sales reported here, minusing out the returns and allowances to get the net sales or net fees here. And we subtract out the cost of goods sold to get the gross profit. Cost of goods sold is calculated on the back side of this Schedule C. So this formula should be somewhat familiar with you. You have beginning inventory plus the purchases. In the case of a manufacturing or that uniform capitalization rules, you have to add in labor and material and overhead to get what's available for sale, and you subtract out the ending inventory to get that cost of goods sold figure. Remember, you're using FIFO or LIFO or specific identification in addition to either cost or the law of cost or market. Okay, subtracting out that cost of goods sold right over here to get the gross profit, plus any other income, business income now, to get the total income, the total gross receipts of the business. And only then you now subtract out the business's expenses. Here, pretty much listed in alphabetical order. So we'll focus on future chapters the depreciation or cost recovery expense. If your expenses don't fit into any of these classifications, you would use this other expense section totaling up in line 48 and then putting the subtotal here to get the total expenses for the whole year on the Schedule C, minusing it out from the gross income to get the tentative profit. In the case of small businesses, sole proprietorships, it's common to deduct home office expenses. So that has to be first be reported on this form 8829. And then subtracting it out to get the bottom line, your net profit or net loss for your business that you report back on that new schedule number one. Okay, so let's look at that schedule one again. So here is that profit or loss we just figured out on schedule C and taking a subtotal of all of this other income. Now, when you're self-employed, you also still have to pay Social Security taxes in addition to your income tax, Social Security and Medicare taxes. So you would take your self-employment income, your business income, and put it on this form called a Schedule SE, self-employment tax. In this case, the new updated 2018 form, pretty much the same as previous years. So your Schedule C profit goes right here, and subtotal if you have other types of business income. And you get to subtract out half of your self-employment tax here. So they give you a formula. It's an algebraic form to get that amount here. And only then we multiply it by the Social Security tax. So here, the self-employment tax rate. Look how high it is. Remember, this is in addition to your income tax. If you were an employee and not self-employed, you would pay half of this amount as Social Security Medicare tax. Because now you have your own business and you're not an employee, you got to pay both your share and the business share, right? So that totals up to this 15.83%. So that's an additional tax to the income tax. And because this is such a big burden to self-employed people, the government gives you a break in allowing you to deduct half of this self-employment tax. So you take half of that amount, 50%, and you put it here, and you're going to deduct it not directly on the 1040 form, but here it says to go back to that schedule number one. So let's go back to that new schedule number one, and the second half is more deductions or adjustments. And here's that half of the self-employment tax in addition to other deductions. So more income, more deductions now reported back here on the 1040 form. Here's more income here, and it kind of mentions if you have more deductions. I wish they would ask you to write it out here just like the other income. Yeah, should be another line for other deductions, and you add it to the other income to get your AGI, adjusted gross income. Subtracting out standard or itemized deductions. Here's a new business deduction that I'll talk about maybe in another video called the 20% qualified business income deduction. And only then you get the taxable income that we had discussed in chapter 1, multiplying it by the tax rates to get the tax for the year. That includes the self-employment tax we just figured out back over here on this on this form, the Schedule SE. Okay, that's just a short navigation through the tax forms for a self-employment business.